All right, we're going to be talking about trimming back ornamental grasses in the winter landscape. Ornamental grasses offer a lot of value through the growing season. They're pretty maintenance free, but in the winter there is a little bit of work we need to do to them to keep them looking fresh over time. What we've got in front of us right now is a Miscanthus adagio. We're going to prune it back for the winter to ensure that we've got a nice reflush of nice fresh growth for next year's growing season. If you can look very carefully, you can see sometimes still, even in the winter, the center of the plant still might be a little bit green. The vast majority of the plant has senesced or has basically gone dormant for the winter. And if you were not to cut back this foliage, all of this dead growth would be mixed in with the fresh growth for next year. So the best thing we need to do here is go ahead and remove the vast majority of this old growth, and again, allow all that new growth to come back through and look nice and fresh without all this dead stuff mixed in it for next season. So what we're going to do, things to pay attention to, is making sure that you don't cut the plant too low. If you cut it too close to the soil surface or the rootstock, you can almost scalp it, and a lot of times you can let cold damage will be even greater if you do that, and you could have a weaker grass coming out of the cold season into the growing season. So what you want to do is try to find that happy compromise between cutting it too low and possibly injuring the plant versus leaving it too high and having a bunch of tattered foliage mixed in with your new foliage from the next year. So usually what we'll do on a plant about this high is leave it about 8 inches tall, maybe a foot at the most, and basically get a nice rounded tip to it or a nice flat top. And if you've got a grouping of them, do your best to prune all of them to make them look as similar as possible. We do take the time to make sure that they're level on top and not angled from one side or the other. Again, just trying to make it look a little bit neater for the winter landscape. So what we'll go ahead and do is make our first cut just to determine the height and then go off of that. So looking in here, feel pretty comfortable coming in, and again, I'm just going to get my height all set, and then from there I can start working on the sides of my plant. And often what I'll do is literally do a circle around the plant to try and get it regular, nice regular cut. Once you've got that, then you can start coming back through here and fine tuning. And what we'll do is just add a little bit of a rounded tip to this, just to get a nice soft pleasing shape. And again, you'll notice that we still do have some of the older growth in here, but again, the new growth will come out through this. It's going to be a large grass. Most of this is going to be hidden. Co-workers of mine will often say that they don't like to pull out a lot of the dead in here. They feel like it acts as a little bit of insulation to the living grass in here and help protect it through the winter. I think that's fine, honestly, as long as we're not leaving an excessive amount of debris in here that's going to blow out of this grass and spread across the landscape once we've left. Once you're doing that, you can go around the plants. There's always a few ribbons, is what we call them, that'll be stuck and loose around the outside that'll easily blow off if you don't pull them now. Get that cleaned up. And after that, you've got to cut back ornamental grass. And basically, I would say judge your cuts based on the size of the grass. We also deal with larger pampas grasses in this area, which can grow honestly as tall as me, if not taller. You're not going to want to cut those just 8 inches off the ground. Again, if you do, you'll always notice where the main growth is coming out, and you want to come up from that at least, and bigger grasses maybe even a foot. Again, if you cut them too close to where the leaves are actually emerging from the plant, you could scalp it, could burn it through the winter, and it could end up becoming weaker the next growing season. On a pampas grass that's typically as tall as me, I might honestly leave it as far as 3 feet tall. And again, muley grasses or some other smaller ornamental grasses, those you could probably even cut a little bit lower to the ground. So I would say just pay attention to the proportion, the size of the grass before making your cuts. Again, just make sure you're not going too low, and make sure that you're not going too high, that you are removing the vast majority of that spent foliage so the fresh stuff comes up in spring. And that's it.